Welcome, everyone. My name is Jill Baird, and I work for the state of North Dakota. I am an information technology specialist at EduTech, which is the Educational Services Division within North Dakota Information Technology. NDIT is doing whatever possible to ensure that the entities we support are able to function in a wide variety of situations. For K-12 schools, we know our North Dakota administrators and educational personnel are carefully navigating how to proceed with classes, communication, and collaboration while addressing concerns around COVID-19. EduTech's mission remains to provide technology services and leadership to improve teaching and learning in North Dakota pre-K 12. We are continuing that mission by providing this webinar series and are here to support our North Dakota K-12 community with support, training, and resources. So today we are going to be talking with cyber.org about all the fun stuff that they have going on and how we are working together between Louisiana and North Dakota to bring cyber into our classrooms here. So we are recording this presentation to put up on our YouTube channel, and with me is Kevin Knowlton from cyber.org. So welcome, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today.
Okay, so let's get started. We have our partnership update with cyber.org. What is going on?
We're going to talk on our partnership update throughout today's webinar, but I really also want to focus on some really exciting initiatives that are going on and taking place right now. Cybersecurity education is getting a lot of attention, and whether that's at the school level, the state level, or the federal government level, cybersecurity education is the hot topic because many of us, many states, many federal agencies are realizing that cybersecurity education is paramount for solving a national security crisis that we have in our country. When we talk about the cybersecurity workforce gap, which I know Jill and the team of EduTech are shouting from the mountaintops, that we're well over 500,000 cybersecurity jobs that are open today, and that the gap is going to only increase to 1.8 million by the end of 2021. So when we talk about a workforce shortage that's increasing exponentially year over year, we have to open our eyes to create a systemic solution, a scalable solution that allows K-12 educators to be the foundational solution for solving that workforce gap. And so at cyber.org, we have for those who don't know, we have a federal grant that allows us to develop K-12 cybersecurity curriculum, professional development, and engagement partnerships with state departments of education and state departments of public instruction to facilitate and encourage entry into cybersecurity jobs, but also to ensure that every student, every single student that is going to graduate either elementary, middle, or high school, ensuring that those students are cyber aware. My mantra is every student cyber literate. And I want to ensure that we as a country are setting ourselves up for success, both from a national security standpoint, but from a protection standpoint. Whether you're going to go into a workforce that is a cybersecurity analyst, or whether you're going into the workforce to be to own a flower shop on the corner of Third and Main Street, cybersecurity plays a role in that. Whether it's healthcare, whether it's agriculture, whether it's oil and gas, or whether it's information technology, cybersecurity plays a role. So not only do we need the workforce to go into the workforce to go into these jobs of around cybersecurity, but we need a cyber literate workforce all around. So cyber.org focuses on this educational pipeline, if you will, that we start down at the K-12 level. And to date, we've got over 21,000 educators who are using our content and curriculum across the country. And it's because of partnerships with EduTech. And if you look at the great state of North Dakota up there in the northern part, 18 months ago, that state was a tan state. We had probably 9 educators in the state of North Dakota. Today, that number is over 800. Think about that. 800 educators in 18 months beginning to teach cybersecurity at the elementary, middle, and high school level. 800 educators who are empowering our next generation cyber literate workforce. 800 educators who are introducing students to the job opportunities that may not exist today, the job opportunities that these students don't even know about. So the work that cyber.org through our federal grant and through partnerships with North Dakota and North Dakota educators and EduTech is really making a difference in our country. It's getting, it's taking note. We've got several partnerships that are very, very important to us. We've got several partnerships that are helping foster that educational energy at the grassroots level. And NICE, which is the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, the Department of Defense Education Consortium that we're a part of, even the Girl Scouts. These are all partners that are bounding together to make a difference. For-profit companies like Palo Alto and other companies around the country that are also fostering that. We've got an incredible partnership with Palo Alto Networks that is, again, fostering the need or fostering the demand for a cybersecurity workforce and the solution thereof. So next slide, Jill. Now that you've kind of got the intimate familiarity of cyber.org, and I'll tell you that that slide usually takes me about an hour. So I condense it down to about 4 minutes. There's so much more I can tell you about the curriculum, about the projects and the initiatives and what we're doing and how the curriculum is designed. But I'll save that for another webinar. But there's some kind of things that I want to talk about on this discussion, and it's big picture. Why? Okay, many of us are like, okay, why do I need to teach cybersecurity? I'm a math teacher, or why do I need to, why do I need to begin teaching cybersecurity in my science classroom or science classroom, math classroom, social studies classroom, any of those classrooms, right? But I'm going to tell you some of the big picture whys, and the Cybersecurity Solarium Commission report is just one of those things. The education report that we put out with EdWeek on the state of K-12 cybersecurity education. I'm going to talk to you about that and to show the impact that we need to have in rural communities, low income communities. I'll talk a little bit about the new curriculum that's coming down, some micro credentials. And then lastly, I want to tell you about our quarterly technology giveaways. We haven't made this public yet, so you're actually going to be the first ones to get a piece of this great information. So that's why I saved the best for last. So next slide, Jill. The Cybersecurity Solarium Commission, just as a real quick background, this is a commission that was tasked by the federal government, by Congress, to begin studying doing a feasibility study on what the federal and industry workforce landscape looks like. What their task is to enhance and foster a stronger federal cyber workforce. And this report and this commission brought together representatives as well as industry and government agencies, industry and governmental agencies, and brought this group together to do a landscape analysis of what programs are successful. Why do we need a workforce development programs? What are the agencies that have different programs like ours? Cyber.org is funded through CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. But what is the DoD doing? The NSA doing? What is Department of Justice? What is the NSA doing? So they brought all these ideas together, and this commission report found that the focus not only lies in higher education. Everybody thinks that, it's higher ed's responsibility to get folks into the workforce. They actually reverse engineered this workforce problem, and they found that K-12 plays an equal, if not more important role in cybersecurity workforce solution than higher ed does. If we do not get these students at an earlier age, research has shown that students are being informed as to what they want to be when they grow up at the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade level. Think about that. At the sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade level, what are we doing to ensuring that our students have an awareness of those cybersecurity jobs that I alluded to earlier? the CTE divisions, right? You have these specialized divisions that students can jump into, but if they're not informed at an early age what those opportunities are, then we're missing the boat. So this Cybersecurity Solarian Commission mentions that K-12 education is absolutely critical. And not to brag or anything, but it calls out cyber.org specifically in this report and says that cyber.org is an exemplar program that is making an incredible difference with partnerships across the country. And in one of those report subcommittee meetings that was put on by the Aspen Group, they mentioned North Dakota specifically. They said the work that North Dakota is doing in cybersecurity education should be replicated in every state of the country. Every state of the country should have something that North Dakota has done. And their K20W initiative, the work that Rosie is doing and Tabitha are doing to build that K20W initiative, that's what this report is pointing to. That's what this report is saying is a model of success for the country. And we're harnessing it, obviously, because we think that the K20W system is the best thing since sliced bread. But we also embrace the fact that innovation has to happen at the K-12 level. And that's what we have to focus in on educators. How are we innovating the classroom to ensuring that our students have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to go into that workforce after high school? And I emphasize after high school, and that's what this report says, is that students who are graduating high school must have some kind of credential or some kind of skill set that allows them to go straight into the workforce. Because is every student going to college? Is every student going to go into a 2-year degree program? No. So when I, as an educator, am trying to put my flag in the sand, my goal is not to get them to go to college. My goal is not to get them to graduate high school. My goal is not to get them to pass the test in the fifth grade science class. My goal as an educator is to get my students employable. And guess what happens when I do that? They're going to pass that fifth grade science test. They're going to pass, they're going to graduate middle school. They're going to graduate high school, and they're going to go get a job. That job may happen right after high school. That job may happen after a 2-year associate's degree or a 4-year degree. But if I can get my students to be employable, then that's when that workforce gaps begins to close. That's when that workforce gaps begins to tighten up. Sorry, my earbud's falling out. That's this commissioned report. And that's the philosophy of cyber.org, is to ensure that our students become employable. So next slide, please. The next exciting piece is the cyber.org's State of Cybersecurity Education report. And I'm going to ask Claire to do a favor for me, and I'm putting her on the spot. But in the chat, if she could drop a link to that report. I know there's a link on the slide here, but I don't think that maybe not be clickable. But behind this education EdWeek research report in the state of cybersecurity education was because there's no real research, no real data on what the current landscape at K-12 is. And so one of the key findings, we actually polled over 1,000 educators across the country over the course of a week, generated this report, and I want to highlight some of the key findings here. One is there is a huge discrepancy in the communities that have some kind of industry that is tied into cybersecurity education as compared to those regions who do not have any kind of industry. So with industry, without industry. And what the findings were is that students who are not introduced to any kinds of cybersecurity education are not likely at all, like 2%, 2% chance to go into some kind of cybersecurity career or some kind of cybersecurity degree program. And in fact, they don't even know what these degree opportunities are. When I was in the classroom, I would always ask my students, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the answers were, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a veterinarian, I want to be a police officer. And one student raised their hand and said, Mr. Knowlton, how can you expect me to tell you what I want to be when I grow up when I don't know what all the options are? And so if we can begin ensuring that not only in our high socioeconomic schools and our big, 1,000, student schools in our major metropolitan areas or in the areas that have cybersecurity industry, if we can not only focus on those, but also focus on the cybersecurity deserts, the areas that don't have that, the low income, the rural communities, the schools where the football coach is also the PE teacher who's also the math teacher and is also teaching driver's ed, or the school that has a teacher who teaches science for first all the way through 12th grade. The question becomes, what are we doing for those schools to ensuring that those students have an opportunity to create a cybersecurity oasis, if I can continue the desert to oasis analogy? What are we doing to ensure that those students and those students in those rural communities have all the options? And this goes to some of the technology packages that I alluded to earlier. But this report draws laser focus on the fact that we need to address cybersecurity deserts in our country. Let's pull that string a little further. We need to address the cybersecurity deserts within our states. So what are we doing for the rural communities? And again, I have to throw a bone to EduTech and what they're doing in the rural communities of North Dakota. The fact that they are bringing resources to those schools is absolutely imperative. And every state in the country needs to pay attention on what they're doing to those rural schools, those low income schools, those Title I schools, because our resources can be tailored for any school, the high end schools, the low income schools. Next slide. One of the things that we will undergo in the next year is a national set of K-12 cybersecurity standards. There are 3 states in the country right now who have some kind of cybersecurity standards at the K-12 level. And I'm not just showing all this love to North Dakota because this is a North Dakota webinar, but North Dakota is one of those states in the country that has cybersecurity baked into their computer science core standards, and it's honestly it's a computer and cyber science standards. We're developing a national set of K-12 cybersecurity standards for 2 reasons. One reason is that we need to ensure that we are introducing students to cybersecurity degrees, careers, and such. These students are hungry for these 21st century jobs, these high-paying jobs. I'm not going to get on the high my pedestal again on the job side of it, but I want to focus on ensuring that we have the technical skills within our students to do so, to enter into those careers. But I also acknowledge that not every student is going to go into a cybersecurity degree. So these standards are also going to ensure that our students have a foundational knowledge of cybersecurity, how to live, work, and play in cyberspace, and how to do so safely and ethically. So there will be 2 pathways to these standards. One is general cybersecurity awareness. What does a 4th grader need to know about online safety, digital safety? What does a 12th grader need to know about online safety and digital safety and cybersecurity awareness? The second pathway is what technical skills does a student need to know if they are going to go pursue a cybersecurity degree or an industry-based certification in cybersecurity? So these 2 pathways are going to be baked into these national set of cybersecurity standards. And there's going to be 3 ways a state or a teacher or a school can adopt and start using these standards. The first is they can stand alone. Let's create standalone cybersecurity standards because they have nothing. If that state has nothing, they don't have computer science standards, they don't have anything. They can adopt these standards wholesale, drop them in there. The second piece of it is they can begin integrating these standards into existing standard structure. So let's say North Dakota, for instance, this that you already have the computer science and cyber science standards, they can begin in the next revision or the next edition of those standards, baking in some of the standards that we've developed through our writing process. The third piece of this, and this is where I get so fired up and passionate about, is that these standards can be integrated into existing English language arts, math, and science standards. These standards can be baked into these other core subject areas to ensure that every student is cyber aware, every student is cyber literate. There are so many different opportunities that we can ensure that every teacher has the confidence level to begin teaching cybersecurity, begin inserting cybersecurity into the lesson. And many people are like, okay, how do you do a English lesson in cybersecurity? What does that look like? There's novel selections. So if you wanted to read a book called I, Robot, or bring in 1984, which is a great, foreshadowing of the technology that is a part of this. Or if you're in the social studies classroom, a great conversation around the Fourth Amendment and security versus privacy. I want to be secure, but I also want to have my privacy. Well, can you have your cake and eat it too? Can you have the cake and the ice cream? I had the ice cream and a cookie earlier today, so that's kind of, I want them both. But can you have them both? And that's the real question that we have to have this dialogue with students. Or math. Instead of using apples for a subtraction analogy, why don't you use gigabytes? So Sally has a computer at the house that has 3 gigabytes of memory. She has this really cool program she wants to run that requires 5. How many gigabytes does Sally need to add? These are the types of conversations that we want to embed into our standards and into our core classes. So next slide, please. We've got some new curriculum coming up. There's some exciting things happening behind me right now in the development team, the curriculum development office. So we've got some incredible elementary and middle school content that's coming out. Science Plus, and if you think about Science Plus, it's science plus cyber. So we've got some incredible resources that have cyber pop outs that are ensuring that students at the elementary level and the middle school level have a foundational understanding of what cybersecurity is. What is cyber? Why is cyber important? And these cyber pop outs just enhance the science curriculum and creating real world relevancy. And I remember when I was a knucklehead student back in the 8th grade and I was taking algebra and I was like, why do I need to know this? Why do I need to know? I don't want to solve for X, or I don't need to know what Z is. But these cyber pop outs create that relevancy, the stickiness, and it engages those students to make good decisions as they operate in this new digital age. And they're making connections to those 21st century learning opportunities. At the high school level, we have a handful of new tracks that are coming out. We've got a cyber engineering track that's taking cyber fundamentals, cyber literacy, cyber science, and a brand new course that we're going to start development work on in the next couple of months called cyber engineering. We've got an industry-based certification track that's IT fundamentals, A plus, Net plus, Security plus. IT fundamentals is under development right now. A plus is launched. Network plus will be start development in the 21 calendar year, and Security plus is already launched. And then elective resources like computational thinking, how to break down complex problems into smaller, more manageable problems. Cyber Society, which is our humanities content, which is an incredible content that's all tabletop exercises, as well as our advanced mathematics, crypto math, and so forth. So next slide, please. So the moment you've all been waiting for, the technology grants. So our new curriculum is based on a handful of different projects, a handful of different platforms. The Cyberbot, the bot that you see on the far right of your screen, and I know Jill and the team have been going out spreading the good word and doing trainings. There's the robot right there in Jill's hands. These cyberbots use a microbit as the brains, and they're powered by Python. So we're introducing students to cybersecurity fundamentals, cybersecurity concepts, as well as programming concepts. But we also use a microbit. We're also using the cyber range. There's a microbit, a little postcard, a little bigger than a postcard. A piece of technology, and that's great. Yep, little post-it note. That's a better way of saying that. I was thinking of a postage stamp, but that's a little bigger than that. So anyway, you get the idea, right? So the new curriculum, microbit, the cyberbot, the cyber range, these are all things that we're using and leveraging for our program. So what we've been shifted to do, we've kind of made a good priority shift, and we've gone from giving technology packages away at our national conference. I mean, it was Christmas in July, when we would have our national conference. We would give supply kits out to everybody who attended. Well, those supply kits were distributed to great educators. Those supply kits were distributed to incredible teachers and incredible classrooms. But what about the schools who couldn't afford a flight to wherever we were going? Or what about the schools who couldn't, afford to travel, to time out of the classroom? So what we're doing is we're launching a new quarterly technology package giveaway where we're going to give technology packages away to low income schools, to schools who are in most need, those rural communities that don't have the resources, the capabilities to buy a cyberbot that's $200 a piece, or a microbit that's $20 a piece. So this technology package giveaway will be a quarterly giveaway that we will do. So I think our next one is in will be in December, and then we'll do quarterly from there on. And this technology grant giveaway is geared towards those teachers who are doing amazing work with limited resources. So those are the exciting things that are going on with cyber.org. Those are some of the major projects, big level, big idea projects that are happening. And what's the beautiful thing about this, and I'll show a little bit more love to my North Dakota friends, is that what is happening in the state of North Dakota is so in line with the federal picture, the big picture, and the direction and the vision that's going on. You all should be absolutely proud of yourselves for being able to be a pioneer in cybersecurity education. When we have over 800 teachers who are accessing the content and curriculum in North Dakota alone, is a true testament to the effort that is happening, the forward thinking that is taking place. And I want you all to know that I'm a big start with why. Start with why, then you figure out, what you're going to do, and then you figure out how you're going to do it. You guys have started with why. You guys understand the fact that this is a big picture. This is a national security issue. This is an economic issue. This is a personal safety issue for all of us who need to have confidence that we can live, work, and play in cyberspace safely. You guys are well ahead of the curve and are an icon in a country that is looking towards you. And so congratulations, North Dakota educators, for doing an incredible job. We are proud to partner with you guys and to be the glue that holds some of that awesomeness together, if I can use that word, in a friendly environment. So Jill, I'm going to kick it back over to you. If I've missed anything, or if you want to fill in the blanks, or ask any questions, I'm going to be here to stick around.
Yeah, well, I will have a question in a little bit, but to start off with, we have a lot of stuff coming up this fall. We have middle school, high school, and elementary cyber teacher workshops coming up this year. So our first set is for high school. These are 40 hours worth of training that you get. The great part about this is on the next slide when it starts coming into what you can add onto your North Dakota teacher license. There's some really nice parts about that. But anyway, so we have our high school training. Our middle school training is lining up right along with our high school training. Same setup for those trainings as well. So how does this work? Well, our first day is going to be in a Teams meeting. So everything is virtual. This is the great part about this fall, is that we don't have to worry about location specific, so that we can say anybody from across the entire country is able to participate in these workshops, or sorry, across the North Dakota, our countryside. So across North Dakota is able to participate in these workshops. And so the first day will be in Teams, and it will be an 8-hour workshop in Teams. At that point in time, we're going to give you a little bit of homework to do. And so you'll have about 6 hours of homework. And for that time, it will be some things like you have to put together something in music, or decode some information, or do something with your robot. And then we'll get together then on our second days and do 2 hours of recap of how you did and have some more conversation. We'll do the same thing for our day 3, and then day 4 we will be in person again in Teams for 8 hours. Our final day, that January 29th, that is when we have you work on a project with your students. So you bring the curriculum into your classroom, which you're probably going to be doing already, and you show us what you're doing. You give us a lesson plan. You take some pictures. We want to see what your kids are doing with the cyber.org curriculum. So for high school, you guys are going to be mainly working with the robots. So it's based on the cyber literacy curriculum, and that curriculum works with the robots. You are programming it in Python and figuring out how to get it to work and doing all sorts of fun builds. You'll also be doing some cybersecurity. Middle school, we're going to be looking at the STEM EDA curriculum. So it's the middle school science or STEM science curriculum. It has a lot of other aspects built into it. It's not just all science, but we'll be looking at it from different perspectives of how it is very cross-curricular. And then also with the middle school, we'll be working with the microbits, and you'll get a set of 10 microbits, I do believe, for working on these workshops. And you get your robot too, if you're in high school. Elementary is going to be 2 days, so it's a Friday, Saturday, and you're going to be looking at Science Plus, so a unit from each grade level exploring how that those cyber pop-outs integrate into the curriculum. You're going to be working with the microbits again, so it's really exciting for elementary too. And this is the first time we're doing elementary. You guys, Cyber just really rolled out the Science Plus this summer with some workshops, and so we're really excited to bring that to North Dakota.
It's hot off the press.
It's still like trying to slowly finish it up too, it seems like. So there's some really cool things with elementary. And then Cyber Society. So Kevin mentioned the Cyber Society. It's kind of been a trademark that kind of you've looked at, but we don't always teach on it. And so we said, hey, let's do an 8-hour workshop on that. So it's going to be a little bit more flipped too for that. If you have questions, please let us know. There's information on our website too about all of this. So definitely check that out. And then here's the really cool part. For high school, middle school, when you complete those 40 hours, you are able to apply for the credential to teach computer science and cybersecurity. So these are the 5 courses that you get to teach with this credential. So it's really a nice little extra bump on your license so that you do have a few more options in your wheelhouse. So this level 2 credential is geared towards middle school and high school. It is 40 hours or some, I think, another combination of a few things, but we're marketing for this, and that is also why we have increased our high school and middle school workshops to 40 hours instead of just 32. And for those of you who took the workshops prior and still need those extra 8 hours of training in computer science or cybersecurity, you can take our Cyber Society class, and it just fits in nice. So don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. So bit.ly/NDIT EduTech subscribe. And we have some upcoming webinars. We're always on Thursday afternoons at 3:30. Next week, we'll be talking about reading in the digital environment and some resources that you can use with your students, some ideas that you can integrate into your classroom, especially if you do have to go distance. We'll have Microsoft Whiteboard is coming up in October, code.org updates, Minecraft updates. And then we'll have a webinar on mindfulness in education. So at this point, we have questions. And Kevin, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the summer conference. Do you guys have a date yet?
So we do not have a date yet. We are, COVID is hard.
It is.
So we're working to solidify that as we speak, and working with a handful of venues. But we are going to be in Washington, D.C. It's going to be an incredible conference with a lot of fun things planned. So stay tuned. But it will be the end of June. So we're targeting, I guess I can kind of narrow it down, either the 3rd or 4th week of June.
Sounds great. Okay, so we will stick around for any additional questions that you may have. At this point in time, remember, if you have any questions, you can always contact our help desk at help@k12.nd.us for support and virtual training inquiries. Thank you for attending the webinar.